ahead and mute that. And I think we're good. Hello, everyone. This is Chris Ingerson, and it is September 7th, and this is the September 7th TextQuest Devstream. So, today we are going to be messing around in the Plains level. Specifically, we're going to start off with some door-related shenanigans, specifically the shed door here. And then, assuming that that doesn't take us too long, actually, given the time that I stream nowadays, after that, we are going to move on to updating the Scarecrow over here, because we have some things that we need to do to make it fit with our new burning system. So, we should call it like the immolation system. That sounds so much cooler. Alright, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to set up this door to actually open and close. Now, all the animations are set up. I just have to actually, well, let me phrase that better. All of the animations have been parsed out, so they're set up into their individual animation clips, but I have not actually set up the animator for it yet. So that's something that we're going to start off doing, because that's a fairly simple thing for us to start doing. Makes it easy for us to... Oops, hold on here. There we go. It's a nice, easy thing to start off on, which I always like to start pretty simple on these streams. Actually, no, that didn't look too bad. I've been going nuts because I just can't get the light map to look right here. It's all kinds of buggy. Oh yeah, this is really bad. No idea why you're so dark. Especially when the ground here is not dark at all. Ugh. Alright. So things are currently interactable, but I don't have anything actually set up information-wise. Or rather, I have not imported that information. I actually just finished writing most of what needs to be done there. But we actually have to export this as a JSON file and then pull it into Unity. From there, we're going to set up our actual animation, well, set up the animations in the animator, and we are also going to start doing we're going to expand on the functionality of the door. So something that a lot of people try to do is, well, when they encounter a locked door, is they try to do things like place key in lock, or insert key into lock, or pick lock. And the current system doesn't really know how to handle that very well, because it knows that the door is locked, but it doesn't really know, there's not a lock object. There's not like a deadbolt, like a lock that you actually put the key into. You just kind of put the key into the door itself, and then it unlocks the door. So we're going to try to come up with a way to allow sort of like a sub-object. And this isn't the first time we've done this. It's actually going to be a very similar premise to how we handled the castle's bookshelf. Because in that specific case, we have a bookshelf that's interactable, as well as the books on the bookshelf that are interactable. So we're going to do something similar to that, where you don't necessarily see the lock as a separate object, although we might also want to support that. That was actually something I was thinking we might try to do. And that would just be an object below the door object, so it would be sort of like weird nested objects. All right, so just get another look at this, because I haven't really, all the light map baking I've been doing, I haven't really looked over too much in human, or in like first person's perspective. Doesn't look terrible. The actual light map for the, it's fine. The actual light map on the shed itself is fine. It's more about just how it's interacting with the world. It's kind of, you can see here that it's really disjointed, like there. There's a lot of light in there, which doesn't really make sense. And the reason there's a lot of light in there is because this door is not static. It can't be, since it has to move, which means that there's a lot of indirect lighting coming in through that space. So it's a little hard to see, but you can see it through the crack here. Which is partially why I left this crack here. Actually, I didn't leave it here so that I could look through it to look at lighting information. I did it because if you've ever had any interactions with sort of like shed doors or barn doors like this, they very rarely perfectly cover their entrance. There's usually some amount of space on the sides. Although, to be fair, they're usually not going to slide into the wall either. They usually will slide alongside the wall. But, you know, this was a cleaner solution. Although it does come with its own set of problems. I'm pretty sure that people will try to get pushed into this wall. So that's gonna be fun. We're probably gonna test that once we set up the animations for this. In any case, let's go ahead and get started. We're probably gonna test that once we set up. Just wanted to make sure that my video was not muted. Okay, so first things first, let's go ahead and download our JSON. So let's go up here to add-ons, export sheet value, or export sheet data, open sidebar. We want JSON format. We want all sheets. We'll go ahead and check replace existing files. I don't think we'll really need it, but unwrap single row. Don't need to force string values. Export cell arrays. Export sheet arrays. Well, actually, kind of annoying having all those tooltips pop up like that. Well, that's a use case error on my part for that plugin or add-on, I guess. Same thing, I suppose. Let's see, and that should be it for the settings. Let's go ahead and export. Should compile, and while that's going on, I'm going to go ahead and swap over to our animator class here. Go to here. Oh, right, I haven't actually set that up yet. That's fine. Where'd you go? There we go. And I guess I'll probably actually, let's see, animation, overworld, planes. Oh, good. Empty. So let's go to animator controller. Call this shed door controller. Okay, so we don't have to do much. Let's go ahead and apply that while we're here. All right, our export should be done. So let's download that, and we'll bring that in. Let's see. Let's go to cabin. Wooden door. Let's go to that. All right. So we're gonna put the JSON file. View. All right. Aha! For some reason, again, my audio cut off, which means that my avatar is just busted for some reason. No idea why it does that. Give me a second. I really wish I knew what caused that bug. It seems like for some reason, oops, shite. And I gotta relaunch it again. Past Chris. Why did you make that non? Oh well. Okay, now I should be good. Sorry. There's something weird about my headset. Maybe my headset's failing. I might need to get a new one. But occasionally it just resets, for lack of a better term, and that just seems to throw a null reference in my avatar, and that causes it to stop working. In any case, let's go ahead and grab our JSON file, show and explorer, or finder, or whatever. I'll put you here, and we will delete our JSON file. All right, so let's go ahead and assign that file while we're here. Hit OK, and we want to assign our animations, which are going to be next to the prefab. Oh, wrong thing. Wait, that's not right. What the heck? Seriously? The heck, Maya? Okay, I guess I have to re-export my... Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. I was stupid. The shed doesn't have the animation on it. Duh. That's why. The door is what has the animation. Yeah, that was my fault. So I gotta rename. Okay, good. It's called shed door already. So let's go up here. So that was my fault. False alarm. Maya was not to blame. That was all me. So we're gonna go ahead and we'll drag all these in here. Close, closing, open, and oops, wrong thing. Opening. All right. So by default, we will go to closed. We're going to go to opening here, closing up here, open, move from any state, move that up here. And actually, we're going to move entry to here, and then we need to go to load. You know what? Let's try that. I'm going to actually just override my base door. Oh, we can't. Can't do that, can I? Well, we might be able to. We'll try. So let's see. I grab castle door, can I go ahead and say create animator override controller? And we'll call this one we'll call it shed door controller, and it will override castle door. But I think that there's specific IDs, aren't there? No? Actually doesn't seem like there is. Well, that is convenient. Okay. Then yeah, I can just overload that, or override. Let's get rid of you. We're going to drag you back down there to planes. And that should set everything up to work properly. So let's go ahead and come down here to model. Let's apply our runtime animator controller. And now we can just apply our animation clips that we need to set up. So let's go to, so we have closed, closing, open, and opening. Cool, now that should work. So once we load up our door JSON, we should actually be able to just open the door, assuming there's no errors there. Well, all right then. Sweet. So we will try to, well, actually, oh crud, it's locked, which means that I need a key. And the key I need is, oh, not loaded currently. Let's see, where are you? Planes, data ID collection, planes. We're gonna need, wait, no, item ID collection. Hold on. Door. Here we are, data ID. Shed open. Shed unlocked. And why did you freak out as soon as I did that? What? Ah, no. Ah, that's a bummer. Or did I? Oh, I must have turned it off. Never mind. Oh, that was weird. Sorry. Never mind. I was a little worried for a second that my attribute for my animator target IDs was basically broken for override controllers, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So we want is open. That's correct. Target level none. All that stuff seems to work. All right. So I think we can actually, we can do this. Go ahead and save. Try to open this door. Except I have to do that again, don't I? Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and save, and now we'll try to open the door. Also going to turn on actually my, let's see, player spawn point. Do I have a test here? I do. Good. We're just going to move this in the wheat field. Why not? All right. Let's take a look. Okay, door to an old shed. Open. Oh, crud. Right. Duh. Completely forgot about the key that I need. All right. Let's make sure that that's actually set up correctly. Let's go to door. Unlock. Required items. Yeah, I was a little worried about that. Key. Rusty. Require equipped. Require lit. Always require. Data ID is going to be shed unlocked. All right. Let's go to. I'm a little worried about that. Default. I wonder if that. Well, we'll find out. Let's go ahead and close this. I'm actually going to go ahead and fix that required item. Instead of rusty key, I think it's key _ rusty. I tried to have some consistency with my naming, which happened to be the reverse of what I did before. So, all right, that should work. And now we need to actually grab our. Oh, dang it! Did that again. So this is a really annoying bug. I assume it's a bug at least in Unity, where if you're dealing with animators for some reason, whenever you save, it does something to animators in the scene, and it messes them up somehow. So anything that you're doing that's referencing animators just freaks out because all of a sudden, according to it, or rather according to the animator that's looking at, there's nothing going on. Like there's no playables, there's no animation clips or anything. It just stops working. And I have no idea why Unity does that, but it's a known thing, and it's been a known thing for a while. So that's why whenever I save, if you look at this OpenID here, it's going to turn into a warning box. I have no idea why, but for some reason it just thinks that there are no animator parameters, and sometimes it thinks there's no animation clips. And obviously that's false. And if we looked at it, you can see that we have those. So it's very strange. But turning the model, or turning the animator on and off again, or off then on again, fixes it. No idea why, but that's just a weird quirk of Unity, I suppose. So now that we have all of that set up, we need to grab our rusty key. So rusty key, we're just going to see, I'm willing to bet that, yeah. We might be lucky, and I might just be able to do all this without... No, I'm going to have to update that. Boo! Alright, let's go ahead and drag it into the scene regardless. Get rid of you, get rid of you. It'll be good to update this, I suppose. So let's grab this. We'll position it by the shed. That way we don't have to run over somewhere to grab it. Go ahead and position this, and then we're going to have to jump over to our Google Sheets to update this information. But we'll just do a quick update. I only need it to function as a key. I don't need it to be fully detailed. Alright, so that should be fine. Let's go ahead and save this, and hop over to Google Drive. Alright, let's go up to planes. Oh, crud. This is actually something that technically should be in the cabin, shouldn't it? Yes, it should. Go figure. Let's see. I might actually just be able to export what I have on here. Let's go ahead and get rid of some stuff. Delete. It's none of these things. Alright. Yeah, this is going to be one of the fun parts of getting back to the planes level, is there's a lot of JSON that hasn't been updated because it existed before I had the JSON method. It was all CSV based, and that's not great. Wow, actually, it seems like I've set this up already. Kind of, that's interesting. It has the correct ID. Okay, do I have... These are the CSVs. Okay, so I might have updated and I just didn't download the JSON for some reason. Alright, let me make sure that this all looks right. Default. Good. Yeah, okay. I think this is good then. So let's go ahead and download this. So add-ons, open sidebar. We're going to do all sheets. It's not a weapon. Let's remove that too. And now we should be good. So replace existing files, unwrap single row sheets, and export cell arrays and export sheet arrays. All right, so let that export, and it should pop up here. Well, I don't have to worry about that. I have a link that I can download. So let's go ahead and download that. Let's close this out. Let's see. We're just going to dump it in the root items folder for now, because these are all archived stuff, technically. I probably should actually just go ahead and archive it. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So create, folder, archive. I like to archive old files just that way, just so that I can view them if I need to, in case I accidentally delete it. I'm like, oh, I don't remember what I said. It's just a nice thing to have. And then once I'm finished with it, completely updating it, I'll delete the archive. Because I have version control. So let's go ahead and show in folder. Oops, wrong thing. Grab this and rusty key. So now we should be able to just straight up update the rusty key here. Let's go up to here, clear our console, make sure that... Okay, we got a warning there. Not sure where, though. I don't know what it thought it was doing. So we'll keep our eye on it. It looks like everything's correct, though. It's a rusty key. Info is all correct. All right, we should be good there. Let's go ahead and apply that change. So now we should be able to unlock the door and then open it. Ah, man. Oop. So we're going to take this. Got a rusty key in our inventory. Oops. Unlock with key. open. Crud. Okay. Um. So you didn't open. And the question is, why? So let's actually, before we stop playing, let's go ahead and select this and check out our animator. It's because nothing got set. Okay. That's awkward. Does that mean none of this is, no. Strange. I guess, can I check off load by default? Okay, let's try that again. Does that mean that my castle doors weren't working? No, that doesn't make sense. Okay, let's try this again. Open with key. Interesting. Still not working. Again, we're going to select the model, go to animator. Something's not right here. Is our animator not... Hold on. OpenID is open. That should work. Why isn't it? Is closed is still set to true, but is open has not been set to true. Weird. Okay, let's take a look at our door script. That should be working. Alright, so let's go to check verb, open, check verb, do verb. Here we are. So we want open. If locked, we're going to go to reload door. This is odd. I never trigger it. Right, I remember why. Duh, I set this up wrong. Let's see, we want module, and I think we want listening animation module. That's why. Duh. Okay. Right. So that was my fault. Let's go ahead and remove that. And we'll drag this back in. So I didn't set this up properly. Duh. We'll do one to start off with. Let's see. Type is going to be bool. Data ID will be shed open. Nim ID is going to... Really? Oh, well, I guess I never really did that. That's fine. Is open. No override target. And evaluate. Others is going to be do not evaluate. Okay. So next we're going to go ahead and duplicate this. We'll have two. We're going to switch it to the reverse. So is closed. Oops, not is closed. Oh, come on. No, actually, you know what? I think I only need the one. It's been a while since I've had to set this up. I'm actually going to check out how I did it in the castle real quick. Plus, we'll be able to test if those doors actually open. Let's see. Overworld and intro. Castle and castle. All right. This has been a surprisingly art-heavy week. It's actually nice to get back into code. Like for some, it's been so long since I've had to do art that I really, it took me a long time to start doing it and getting into it again. Oh right, bool inverted. Okay, let's just go ahead and copy this then. Copy component. Let's go back to the planes level. Now we should be able to set this up. So planes, objects, nope, environment level, plane shed, and model. Alright, so we're just going to do paste component values, and instead of bedroom open, we're going to go to shed open and shed open. Okay, so that should work. Go ahead and save. And let's try this again. Make sure that you're correct. Ah, dang it. Gotta turn that back on. Alright. Save. And we play. I'm actually pretty happy with how the shed turned out. I do have some problems though. Like I'm really irked by the roof. It's so stark. Like there's no reality to it. It's so flush. The cabin has a similar problem, although it's less pronounced because of the porch. But roofs don't work like that. They don't just end right at the edge of the walls, and I really should figure out an aesthetic that looks right there, but I just can't think of what to do. So let's take open with key. Come on! Seriously? So you still think that you're opening, but you're still closed. Oh, right. Let me also turn off maximize on play. Why? Is it not the right one? I don't understand. It should function, but it doesn't seem to. I wonder why. Wait, does it think it's using... No, yeah, right there. And I did set these, and they're correct. So why would it not work? Well, I shouldn't have to recreate this every single time. That doesn't make sense. That's the point of the animator override controllers, is that you would have basically a root controller that's meant to have all of the states that you need, and then if you have things that are going to use similar actions or similar animations, you would just override that base controller. That way you don't have to keep laying things out like this, and you can just replace the animations directly, but they don't seem to be working, which is a little infuriating. Not gonna lie, kind of irksome. So I shouldn't have to do anything extra. It should just work, but it's not. There's something else that I've forgotten to do. It's a listening animation module. I suppose I can double check that our animator is actually getting set. This should set itself if it doesn't have a value. But something is going wrong. Yeah, so it's grabbing the model, which is correct. It's enabled. We're not getting any null references, which is one of the reasons it's so infuriating. Is the door not opening correctly then? Shed open is right there. Let's go to open, output, text only, output ID. Perhaps. Alright, let's go to the castle again. Take a look at this. It's really annoying. Castle. Yeah, we'll go and save. 10 to 1 says it's something stupid that I've done. 9 times out of 10, it always is. So those are good odds. See, doors, bedroom door. We want model. So listening animation module. I have everything set up. Well, the avatar might not be set up. I guess. Surely that is not enough to break it. God, that would be so infuriating. Let's see. Well, you're not encouraging. You're really not encouraging. Why are you... Oh, right. It's a difficulty object. Duh. Alright. Let's double check our avatar, I guess. Make sure that's correct. Environment, level, planes, door, model. Yeah, that's correct. We don't want to apply root motion. Update mode is normal, always animate. Is open. Are these not correct? Go to our animator. Is open, is closed. Those are the correct parameters. We don't have any spaces or anything. Nope. Okay. This is really annoying. Let's see, listening animation module. Alright, let's take a look at our script again. Let's see. Open, locked. So if locked, so it's not going to be locked. It's not going to have a level ID of none. So we should go here. If open clip, sound manager. On. Something's going wrong here. Are you not using your ID? What the heck did I do? Let's see, find all references. Start that IDs. What the heck? What the heck did I do? It isn't doing anything. That's interesting. Does that mean it's not being used? Alright, let me try something. Let's go up to our door here. We're going to tell our actual verbs to set these values. So shed open. And then close, we'll set it to be false. That should work. Okay, so let's try that. That would be rather infuriating. I wouldn't put it past me to have done something stupid like that, though. Open with key. Yep, there you go. It was a wonderful situation of past Chris being a massive idiot. Oh, you're also interesting. You get lighter if you're. it gets darker. Well, I guess I guess that makes sense. But it gets lighter whenever it moves over there. So I need to clearly move my light probes around to get us a little bit better of a light probe set up there. But yeah, you can see that this is what I was talking about when I said I'm not happy with the light map. I don't know why it's bleeding in like this. The UV oh, you know what? I bet it's that. I bet it's because I didn't relay out the UVs. Duh. Once again, it was because I was stupid. Well, great. We can't fix that on the stream, unfortunately, because it would take us like 5 minutes just to bake the light map, and that's boring. So, but overall, aside from the ground, I'm actually, well, not the ground, aside from the light map, I'm actually pretty happy with how the shed turned out. It's going to require a lot of work to make it not look like crap light-wise, or lighting-wise, because you can see that we got a lot of green bounce coming off of the grass. I'm not really happy with that. That makes everything look sickly. So, ignoring the lighting, the actual layout is actually pretty good. I was a little worried about having no window over here, and I talked about adding a window so light could spill in, but I actually decided against that because I think it's going to be more fun to have a dark spot right next to the place where you get the lantern. So the lantern isn't going to be there; it's going to be hanging up against the wall here. Or maybe even on the post here. And once you get it, you'll be able to go into this dark area. So it's just a nice little thing of you can't go into that dark area without the lamp, so you'll back up. You'll see, oh, there's a lantern here. Let me take that and turn it on and light it, and then poof, you can walk over here and do something. I don't know what I'm going to do over here. I probably should have an item. I'll think of something to put there. But I'm actually overall happy with the layout here. And the track ended up turning out pretty well. So, oh yes, for those of you who are curious, the thing that sliding doors hang down from, the railing that you see there, they're called tracks. So, random architecture fact of the day. Alright, so let's go ahead and grab this. Take, oh, you know what, I probably can maximize on play. Go ahead and say hold and light lamp. So, things don't look too bad once we actually light up the area. I'm not sure about this, how much grass I should have growing around the edges inside the shed. I don't know if, well, I guess I have no way of knowing that, but if you've ever been in one of these sheds, it's not unusual to have some amount of greenery growing around the edges because they'll usually be sort of peeking out from underneath the shed. But I guess that doesn't really make sense here. I probably should just make this all dirt. Just have it sort of fill out a little bit better. But I do like having dirt be in the center there. Certainly makes it feel a lot more believable. And the building itself, of course, looks pretty decent when we actually get some lighting in here. I'm not entirely sure why that's... Oh, right, I probably need to average out the UVs on these things again. So I got some minor tweaks to make. But go ahead and close this. Overall, looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and open. Look at the side. Not really. Yeah, it looks fine. I actually probably could lower that. All right. So that's the cabin. That's the door. Got that set up, and that's good. Let's go ahead and close it again. Close. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and open this. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna put the lantern right here. That way, it's just straight down. As soon as you open the door, you'll see it. And of course, I guess there's always the possibility of people doing this. But I think having it hang against the far wall makes it much more likely that you'll see it. So let's go ahead and stop playing. We will change our spawn points for our item. Grab our lantern spawn. Let's see. Planes, items, and lantern. Alright. So I positioned that just so that I could know where I'm going to put things. So lantern spawn here. So before the lantern was just on the ground, it didn't actually do anything. Well, it rotated to face the player, but I actually don't want that. I would prefer it to hang flush against the wall until you pick it up, at which point, it'll start doing the normal rotations. Let's go ahead and rotate you 180 degrees. Probably should be a little bit more centered like that. Let's see, right about there. Maybe a little bit lower. So, there. I probably should have some kind of hook. But for now, I'm going to take a look at that, see what that looks like. Let's go ahead and delete the lantern. And actually, before we do anything with it, I'm going to come up here. Open. Let's close these. And we're going to say initially enabled false for our object rotation. And all that's going to do is now the lantern won't rotate to face towards the player until it's picked up. Once it's been picked up, it will set itself to rotate like normal. But until then, it'll act like this key. It'll just sort of be static. Let's take that. We'll say open with key. I actually might want to raise that a little bit. Maybe I should have it about here. Yeah. I think raising it by about a meter. Also, because I keep forgetting, there we go. I really need to remember to put those signs up so people know what I'm doing. I'm going to group this under design for now. Okay, so let's go to lantern spawn. Let's just go to there, see what that looks like. I think we'll be good. Alright. And once we have this working, well, it is working, we'll move on to trying to get the actual nested lock stuff working. I'm kind of curious to see if we can make that work well. Open with key. Okay, that's better. But I kind of still feel like it. Let's see. Try here. That's fine. It's almost center frame. It's slightly below center frame, I want to say. So, yeah, I think we're good there. So I'll probably need some sort of 3D model for a hook. But aside from that, I think I'm actually pretty satisfied with that placement. Cool. So we got all that working. So now our shed is functionally done, but it definitely needs a pretty pass. It's quite the ugly beast. Alright, so let's go ahead and stop playing. Alright, so the next thing that I would like to do is expand the doors functionality. We need to add support for separate locks. Think like not a deadbolt, but a oh man, I'm spacing on it. Think like a combination lock that you would see on a locker or a large key-based. Why can't I think of the word for this? I can only think of calling them locks, which is super weird. I should know what these things, what they're called. Anyway, locks that you would put on like lockers or around or with chains, I suppose, to lock a door shut. Um, but we're going to need support for models like that. So ideally, let's go ahead and play again. Ideally, this door won't just say it's locked. It would be nice if it actually had a lock that you could see and physically interact with, like here. Um, and then we can do stuff like when you unlock it, we'll play an animation on the lock. And that can range from something as simple as like a man, I cannot think of my lock terminology, which is so weird because I should know these. Well, okay, fine. We'll throw that example out. So think of it like once you unlock a lock that's holding chains together, the chains would basically fall away and the lock would fall to the ground. Uh, Something like that. So we need to be able to support actually interacting with the lock directly and interacting with the door. Now that likely means that the lock will be a sub-object of the door. That way, whenever you unlock the lock, you can just go straight over to opening the door. Or if you just interact with the door, you can actually still interact with the lock itself. So they have to be in a weird relationship for that to function properly. But that will make things a little bit more intuitive because people do have the tendency to try to actually interact with the lock. Oh yeah, I forgot the wheat field has a ID. Okay, so how do we want to handle this? I guess the first thing would be just having straight up sub-objects. So no models, no extra colliders or anything like that. It's just inferred extra object. So let's go to... Actually, we might look at... Was it complex objects or was it actually just called nested? Okay, it wasn't called nested object. I'm guessing it was complex objects then. Yeah, complex object. Yep, right there. All right. So it's a little annoying because I have to basically make a complex door. Yeah, all right. Except actually, I don't need to make it a complex door. I can just make this part of the door functionality. Um, so I'll just have a extra interactive object in the list for door information that's just the lock. Yeah, that would work. All right. So let's go to here. No key output. Have a comment thing so I can say lock. And we'll say public interactive object and lock. Oh, I can't call it that. Door lock. Right. Forgot lock is a keyword. So I guess I should probably swap. Hold on. There we go. So if we have an actual door lock reference, then we'll need to do this probably. Let's go down to awake, assuming we have one. I don't think I do for this. I don't. All right. So override awake based on awake, and then we'll do this as a for loop because I don't really like for each loops. For int I equals 0, I is less than interaction list dot. Really? Hold on. That. No, that's not a thing. All right. Yeah, that's actually not what I need to do. So we're just going to say, I don't even need to do that. I can just say, let's see, if door lock does not equal null, door lock dot modules is equal to this dot modules. Actually, I might as well just get rid of this there. Get rid of this line here. All right, and we're going to override our interactive objects, or what's it called? Override interaction list. All right, so we're going to say override interaction list. All right, so yeah, this is going to be a little annoying because by oh, you know what? We can actually optimize that. Sweet, let's do that. Let's go to our base interaction list then. So go to definition here. We're going to optimize this. So currently, what it's doing, the interaction list is the list of interactive objects that you can interact with whenever you start interacting with an object. So most of the time, that's just going to be the object itself that you're interacting with. But in situations like chests, which may contain objects inside of them, you need to be able to interact with both the chest and any of its contents, so any of the items in there, which is why we need to have a actual array here. But the way I'm handling it right now is every time I access interaction list, I am returning a brand new array that contains one element. And that's actually that's a really terrible way of doing that, as is description, really. But I suppose I probably should actually keep that one like that so it's a little bit more dynamic. But it's pointless to just return a new interactive object array that only contains a single element every single time, because that's just generating a bunch of garbage every time I try to grab the interaction list. So it's much better instead for me to cache that information. So we're going to do that. And this seems to be the story of me looking at my old scripts. It's like, I could have cached that. I could have prevented a bunch of garbage. All right, so we want to say private interactive object. I guess we'll call it interaction list to keep it consistent. And I've lost it. There it is. Yep, interaction list. Interaction list. New interactive object 0. And actually, we are going to make this protected. And we need to make it an array. Since it's protected, that means that it goes above our private. There we go. Now, what we're going to do is instead of returning a new array, we are going to check if interaction list is empty. And if it is, then we're going to populate it, then return interaction list. And then from that point on, we'll just return interaction list. So let's see here. Interaction list. Where are you? There we are. So we're going to say get return interaction list dot length is equal to, or no, sorry, is greater than 0, question mark. Then we will return interaction list. Otherwise, interaction list is equal to that. Sweet. So that should actually save us a little bit of garbage in the long run. And I'm also going to go ahead and check where we're overriding this. Based on interaction list. Really? I wonder. Yeah, I suppose that actually does need to be dynamic. So the container has to be dynamic, which means that it's always going to have to generate garbage, unfortunately. Because containers, by their nature, can, well, have their contents changed out. So let's see. Door should be fine, except we're going to say we're basically going to do the exact same thing that interaction list does, except we'll basically check to make sure that we don't have a lock. So we'll say return interaction list dot length is greater than 0, question mark. Then we will return interaction list. Oh, come on. Interaction list. Else, we will set interaction list is equal to, and this is going to be fun because I have another nested thing that I have to do. So we're going to say interaction list is equal to door lock is equal to null, question mark. And in that case, we'll return just the base.interaction list, which is, again, just an array containing itself. And if it's not null, then that means we need to return new interactive object array with 2 elements in it, one of which is the door itself, and the second of which is the door lock. All right, so now our door interaction list should be correct. Info interaction list. All right, I think that's all I needed to do. Sweet. So let's go ahead and let that compile. And now we need to... How do we want to handle this? What are you doing? List only first. Oh man, that is super brutal. Ah, great. I have to break it out, don't I? Yay! Okay. So I need to actually break out complex object into an interface called iComplex, probably. Or iNested? iComplex. Well, yeah, iComplex interaction is probably the better name. Hello, Ryan Blood. Yaying? What are we yaying? We are yaying doors right now. Or, I suppose, complex interactions within doors, meaning interacting with a lock at the same time that you interact with a door. But enough about me. How are you doing? And welcome back. Yeah, okay. Well, let's go ahead and get started on that interface then. Complex objects. Actually, you know what? iContainer. Do I just have these in their separate folders? I do. I don't know if that's good or not. It's probably fine. All right. Let's see. Complex object. So I'm going to go ahead and create folder. Complex objects. No, we'll say complex interactions. There we go. We'll drag complex object into that. Let it recompile, and then we'll create the interface. Exhausted from work, huh? Well, I mean, it's good to relax for an hour or two after getting back from work. I found that it's good to grab a snack or dinner and, I don't know, watch an episode of TV or something, and then just relax, decompress, and then get to work. So let's go ahead and say create C# script iComplex interaction. Okay, and this is basically going to have everything that complex object has, which is not much, admittedly. But it does mean that our door is actually not going to do everything that it needs to do. Well, not that it... Let me rephrase that. It's not going to just have a single object reference field for the lock. It's now going to have an array, even though that array will probably only ever be filled up with the lock. So it's a little annoying, but what are you gonna do? It's super weird. God, I hate it how Unity will lock up if Visual Studio locks up, but it won't tell you that Visual Studio is locked up. All right, let's go ahead and get rid of this. It's not a class, it is an interface. Not interfacer, just interface. Let's see, it's going to go under the text quest namespace, and let's grab our... Oh, right, I moved my complex object. Let's go ahead and open that back up. All right, so we'll want... Do we want to list... Let me find all references. No, actually I don't, because it's an array. So why would I ever need this to be? I don't do anything involving lists. So you're going to be an array. Haha! All right, so let's go ahead and say public bool. Oh, I can't do public. I just have to do bool. Right. Interfaces. Gotta get in that mindset. So we're going to say list only first, which will be a get. And then interactive object array, and what did I call it? interactive objects. Of course I did. Maybe I should call them sub-objects. How about just interactions? Wow. There we go. Interesting. You don't... Oh, right. Sorry. Duh. Get. And that is all kinds of format messed up. Go ahead and fix that. Alright, so that's pretty much everything I need. I probably should comment these. So things play ball. Apparently I'm not doing a good job at getting everything lined up today. Ah! There we go. So we're going to say, should the main object be the only interaction listed? Question mark. And all sub-objects, we'll say sub-dash objects, below this object. Although actually, I think the way it's set up, complex objects they reference themselves, I believe. Let's take a look at the castle real quick. Take a look at the bookshelf, because it's the only thing that's a complex object in the game currently. And there really won't be a lot of complex objects, because it's usually more confusing for players than it's worth. But sometimes it's good to have them. Let's see. Levels, which are all the way at the bottom. I don't know what I was scrolling up for. Castle. Well, I certainly hope we get to burn the scarecrow today. We might not get that far, depending on how long it takes me to do the door stuff. Let's see, bookshelf. So yeah, I do have it referencing itself. But that doesn't actually make sense. It should reference, I shouldn't have to tell it to reference itself. Then again, the point of complex object was to sort of weirdly have things below it. So that's kind of, I guess that kind of makes sense. But we're not, dang it. Let me think. Actually, I guess with that setup, I don't really need an interface. I could just use this parent structure. Because the point of a complex object is that you don't actually interact with it. You only interact with its children. The complex object itself is more like a wrapper. It doesn't really do anything. Hence why, even though it's an interactive object, you don't see any information here. It just has list first object only and then interactive objects. So, in that case, I actually could get around it, I think. Although it would still be weird, because our door and lock still need to know about each other, which is interesting. I'm not sure what to do about that. Let me try to set that up. So let's go to our planes level. We're just going to create a parent object for the door that's a complex object. Let's go ahead and jump over there to our hideously light map shed. Let's see here. You are problematic, aren't you? Yes. Okay. I guess you're not too bad. I can just do this. Door, or we'll call it shed door. Shed door. Grab you. Oh, yeah, it's fine. All right. So that's the door. We're going to make this a complex object. Complex object. Oh, hold on. This might not work. Yeah, I actually don't think this will work. So complex objects in the case of the bookshelf made sense because the bookshelf had the entire model for both the shelf and the book. But with exterior locks, so again, think like locks that you would see on chains around fences or on gates. They're separate. They're separate objects, which means that they have separate colliders, which means that they have separate modules. So I can't actually do that. Okay. Well, that kind of simplifies things. All right. Yeah. In that case, I do still need an interface. All right. Let's go back up here. I'll probably close these. I don't think I need the animations for these anymore. Certainly will make scrolling easier. Ooh. There we go. Get rid of all of our animations. Don't need to worry about them. Resources. Get rid of our models. Get rid of these. Okay. Now it should be a little bit more obvious where I need to go. Here we are. Complex interactions. So, no, well, gonna watch a training course for a while. All right, have fun. Hopefully you learn something exciting, or at least useful. I will probably be here when you get back. So, I think we're gonna change list only first to list main, or list main only. Should the main object be the only interaction listed? That's good. We're going to go to complex object here. We're going to look at list only first, find all references. If hit a complex list only first, interactive objects of 0 versus hit info. Right. Right. Yes. Oh, wait, hold on. That doesn't make sense. Why on earth wouldn't I just... No, that's where I... Okay, yes. All right, I know what to do here. So let's go to complex object, or I'm sorry, iComplex interaction. List main only. Should the main object be the only interaction listed? That's going to be the same, and interactions will be... Yep, that's all correct. All right. So let's go to our door, and we're going to try to do this. So first off, we're going to have... How do I want to handle this? This is annoying. Not ideal. I'm going to have to make you an array. So we'll call this interactions. All right, so it's iCombinable and iComplex interaction. All right. Right. So instead of saying door lock is equal to null, we're going to say interactions dot length not is equal to null, but is greater than 0. No, I'm sorry, is equal to 0 actually. Then based on interaction list, all of that stuff, yada yada yada. So we're going to say interactions dot length plus 1. Crud. I've not done that before. That's super awkward. I've never tried to populate an array with an existing array and another object in one line. That's super awkward, actually. So crap. I can't do that all in one line. Boo. That's disappointing. All right, fine. So let's see. We'll say if interaction list dot length is greater than is equal to 0. Then we're going to do stuff, and the last thing we'll do is just return interaction list here. Don't need you. Don't need you. Go ahead and comment you out. All right. So if interactions dot length is greater than 0, then we'll do stuff. Otherwise, actually, I guess I don't need to do that. Instead, I can just say interaction list is equal to new interactive object, a list of interactions dot length plus 1. Hit OK there. Then we'll say interaction list dot initialize. All right. Then we're going to say interaction list of 0 is equal to this. So the parent object, the main object. Yep, aiming for useful. What are you gonna? I guess what are you watching? Or what training course are you taking? Assuming you haven't already left. It's hard to say. There are 2 people watching, but I never know if that's the same 2 people. And actually, I assume one of those is myself watching through the browser. But it's never really explicit how many people are actually watching, because I've had more than 2 people watching when it said 2 before, and it infuriates me, Twitch. And then we're going to just do a for loop. So for int I is equal to 0. I is less than interactions dot length. Not lengthful, just length. And I plus plus. And then we're going to say interaction list of I plus 1 is equal to interactions of I. And it's as simple as that. That's all I needed to do. All right. So we're not quite done. I need to get all of the complex interaction stuff done. So after that, we're going to say public interactive object array, and it's called interactions. Get return interactions. Simple as that. And our last thing is show main only, correct? Or list main only. All right. So we're gonna do public bool list main only. Get return. We'll just say false for now. Interesting. I have a. Oh. Right. Yeah, I don't need to worry about you. This is going to be interesting. So the original complex object was meant to sort of be more like a roll a couple of different objects into one, whereas complex interaction is actually more like when you interact with one object, it should interact with all of these objects as well. So that's interesting. I suppose that means that both doors and their locks will need to essentially do this. They'll both need to be complex interactions because they both need to know about one another. That way, if you interact with the lock directly, assuming that it has a separate model, you need to be able to tell the door when you unlock the lock. That way, you can just go from the lock to the door and just say open. So that is not right, but it is interesting, I suppose. Let's go ahead and get rid of predicted void awake. That'll be fine. Let's go all the way back up here. Get rid of the squiggles. We did. Hooray. All right. So let's go ahead and let this compile. So I need to add a field for interactions here to our door inspector. All right. Let's see. No key output. Let's go ahead and do this. Door interactions. I'm actually going to get rid of you. Okay, here. Then m underscore interactions. Grab this, duplicate, just kind of filling stuff in super quick here. Interactions, and draw door info. Right. Let's see. Where are you? Door. Well, actually wonder if I should separate that. Should I have it have its own? So let's look at the current door editor. I don't know if I should group it under door info or if I should have it somewhere else. Um, hmm. Well, I suppose I kind of feel like it would make more sense for it to have its own dropdown, but it's also weird because there's only going to be one thing in there, which is that array. It's kind of annoying, but it also makes more sense because it's not specifically about the door. It just happens to be. We just happen to know that it will be a lock, but it could, in theory, be anything. So, yeah, I'm gonna give it its own field or its own header. So we'll say, yeah, if, oops, not ig, if custom editor utility dot draw header 2, comma, and we'll give it a name. We'll say sub interactions. And we'll just, I guess it's just one, well, say editor GUI layout, editor GUI layout, there we go, dot begin vertical, editor styles, dot text area, okay, and then editor GUI layout dot end vertical, and then right in the middle there we're just going to say editor GUI layout dot property field and im underscore interactions, then followed by true. All right, so now we should have another pop-up here, and that should contain our sub interactions array. Yep, right there. So now we can add one. We'll have an extra interactive object. Nice. And actually, you know what, while we're here, I don't remember if I did this, but dang, I didn't label this. Oh well, I guess that doesn't necessarily happen. At work, I made a attribute or an attribute to basically remove the label from fields because it's pointless to have element 0. It's kind of dumb. It's not really that useful. Although I guess it would be. It's a nice number or numerical identifier, so it's easier to memorize. Whatever, it's fine. I won't worry about it for now. So we don't actually have a sub object. Oh, see, that's where it gets complicated. What if I have a sub object that doesn't have its own modules? Dang it, that really complicates things. Well, let me check out interactive object. Scroll all the way down here. Do I not? Really? Oh, I guess I wouldn't have to. Actually, I want to go to actor. So peak definition. Scroll all the way down to the bottom here. So in awake, I activate modules. All right. So let's close this. I want to check something real quick. Let's go to a function here, and we're just going to say modules. Is it a list? Yes. Good. Okay. So we're going to go to our door here, and we're going to have a start function. So we're going to say at the bottom here, override start. Oh, really? All right then. Private void start. And we're going to say if interactions dot or length is greater than 0, for int I equals 0, I is less than interactions dot length I plus plus. We're basically going to loop through our interactions, and we're going to see if any of them do not have modules. Because if any of them don't have modules, that means that it is a sub-object that doesn't have a unique collider, but does have unique information. So in that case, we need to set all of its modules to be this object's modules. Modules are largely unimportant for those particular things, but it's it's a good idea to for objects to have modules, even if they don't actually have a physical representation in the world, um, just because it lets me handle things a little bit more conveniently. But I guess I don't really. Yeah, we'll still set it just in case we end up having extra functionality there. So we're going to say if interactions of I dot modules dot count is greater than 0, or I'm sorry, is equal to 0. Interactions of I dot modules is equal to modules. All right. And actually, you know what? Just as a safety check, do I actually cache you? Good, I do. Making sure. All right, let's go ahead and close you, and we should be good. So now we should, in theory, be able to set up a sub lock object. And even though it won't necessarily have a physical representation in the world, we can actually interact with it. So I'm going to go ahead and just create an empty object. We'll call it lock. And it will, it's probably going to need to be a special class. But for now, I'm just going to make it an interactive object so that I can test it. So we'll give it all that stuff's actually fine. I can't add verbs dynamically. Right, I forgot about that. Whatever, it's fine. Let's go ahead and test this. So lock, it's okay. And, oh, well, yeah, okay. I almost forgot I needed to do that. I forgot to set a field for our show, our list main only. So let's go ahead and say above here, public bool list main only is equal to true, I suppose. Because I'm trying to remember what happens if you don't list main only. I think it tells you every single object that you interact with, and we don't actually want that. So I'm going to add some tooltips here. Tooltip. I'm going to say only show the description for this object when interacting with it. Tooltip sub interactive objects, or yeah, that's fine. It's not super descriptive, but it's not terribly undescriptive either. Let's see. All these things are fine, I think. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about it for now. All right, so we should, in theory, be able to interact with the door now, then attempt to examine the lock. We'll have to call it an object, and it's probably just going to throw back a you can't do that at us. But if it throws back a you can't do that, that means that it is actually interacting with it. If it says I don't see an object around here, that means that it didn't work. It doesn't know that there's an object there. So let's go ahead and play. Let's see if we get any errors too. I'm actually kind of curious. All right then. Whoa, what the heck? This has been happening for some reason. This has to be a bug. For some reason, the light map gets really messed up. I have no idea why. I haven't done anything. It's like it's like it gets cleared, which is really weird because I baked it, saved the scene, I edited some stuff in the scene just to make sure, and then I saved the scene. Then I closed Unity and opened it again before the stream to ensure that something like this didn't happen. And now I'm angry because my shed looks terrible. But whatever. It didn't work. Oh, right, because right. Duh. Okay, it's because we haven't actually changed anything yet. First off, this needs to be list main only. And second, I have to go to interactions now. Or interaction. Here we are. So currently the way interactions work is there's a raycast that comes out in the center of the screen. And specifically, we're looking here for a complex object, so we're going to have to change this to be an iComplex interaction. That means that this actually needs to be a iComplex interaction as well. And let's see. I think that means that we need to do this public interactive. I mean, screw it. We're just gonna grab it from the door. So grab these guys, paste this in, and we're just gonna say list only first, then interactions, which will be return interactive objects dot to array. Not ideal, but it's fine for now at least. All right, we'll let that compile, then we'll hop back here to interactive. Oh, not interactive object. Interaction. Here we are. So I actually need to change this a little bit. So we're going to say complex object iComplex interaction equals hit actor as iComplex interaction. And then we're going to say list main only. Then we will say complex dot interactions of 0. Otherwise, we're going to say yes, hit info. That should be correct. All right, so now we should basically, whenever we try to interact with the door, it should only show the description for the door, not the description for the door and the description for the sub-object. Although on the bright side, even though we didn't want to show the description for the sub-object, the fact that it showed up means that we're correct. It is actually tracking it. So when we interact with the door, we interact with it. Hooray! Wow, that didn't work. That did not work at all. Right. So it's interacting with itself. Well, not with itself. It means that the way I structured it was dumb because it's crap. Okay. It's listing the first interaction in the list of interactions that are sub-interactions, but I don't include the main object in that. So, crap. Dang it. Interaction list then. Let's try that. It's a little... What the heck? Seriously? Okay, let's try that one more time. So I have to do that, which is a little annoying, but I guess I can't probably get around it very easily. Well, actually, no. Nope, can't do it that way. Yep, it's got to be like that. All right. I was going to say maybe I could just return the object itself, but that actually would backfire because then complex objects would not work because they are empty parent objects. So now it should be the door to an old shed. So I'm going to try to examine door and then examine object. And you can't do that. Cool. So it's working. That means that we can interact with a object that is part of the parent object, basically. So in this case, we'll use it to interact with a lock. But we do have to think about a couple of things. One is obviously we need to handle actual meshes, so objects that have their own modules and will properly behave themselves, basically, and can act independently of the parent object. Possibly. They might not need to, but and they might not actually be able to, but we need to allow for cases where it can and cases where it can't, just in case. Because technically, the lock and the door they're basically independent of one another. The only thing that they're intertwined with is when the lock is unlocked, we need to lock the door. And when the door is unlocked, we need to unlock the lock. So, yeah, that's kind of annoying. Let's see here. So I'm going to add a folder for door. Doors. We're going to move our door script into that. Let it compile. And then we will open the door back up. And while that's all going on, I'm going to get a drink. Well, take a drink. All right. Looking good so far. Let's go ahead and open you up. Okay. Get rid of interaction now. Pretty sure I can get rid of my complex interaction and complex object. Right. So now I need to create a lock. We'll call it door lock. Well, dang it. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Ah, dang it. All right. Sorry, this might also be needed on chests. So I can't make it specific to doors. I actually need to... Another interface. Dang it. All right. We'll call this iLockable. So doors and chests will be iLockables. That means that containers will also need to derive from complex interactions. Hooray. All right, so we're actually going to make a new folder and call it locks. Oh, crud. Well, no, yeah, iLockable is fine. So actually, this raises a good question. We'll have iLockables, but that also means that I'm going to need to have iLocks, or like an iLock and an iLockable. So one would be the actual lock, and one is the thing that it locks. So, how to handle this properly? Well, for now, let's go ahead and just make an iLock. Lock. Well, no. I think this can just be a... I don't want to call it lock. I want to call it something a little bit more descriptive. Object lock. I can't call it container or door lock. That's too specific. I don't want to call it interactive lock. That sounds kind of dumb. Lock. What else could I call it? Okay, this is not great. Not great at all. Lock. What should you be called? Fine, interactive lock. I can't think of a better name, and I hate this name. We'll just live with it. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even mean to open it up, but it did. I must have double-clicked enter by accident. All right, let's go over here to interactive lock. We can get rid of door inspector, I think, at least for now. Still compiling. There we go. All right, so iLockable is an interface. It's not a class. Interface. Again, it needs to be in the text quest namespace. iLockable is going to have a reference to an interactive lock, I suppose. So let's go ahead and make sure that this is text quest. Derives from interactive object. All right. So iLockable will need a public interactive lock. Wow, that was just not correct. Interactive lock. We'll just call it lock. And that's going to be a getter. Oh, right. There we go. I think that's honestly all iLockable needs. God, this got so complex. So I don't even know if we need our sub objects, but no. So actually, yeah, we're gonna keep the work that we did on door because there's, as far as I know, as far as I can think, the situation where you will not have a complex door that's locked, um, or rather have a locked door that doesn't have a reference to its lock somehow, would be very strange. So this should be fine. This is just more of a straightforward way for it to know what object it should send an event to once it's unlocked, or what object it should listen to once it's unlocked. So that should be fine. Okay. So interactive lock, on the other hand, is going to be a little different. It's going to have a public iLockable and locked object, and this will be from the, oh, I need to use SleepyOwl, using sleepyowl.common. We're going to say interface field type of iLockable, which means this is actually going to be a object, or an object. Actually, I don't remember. Did I make this a... Let me check this real quick. Find all references. Did I make it a object field? It is. It's just an object field. All right. Wasn't sure if I made it a game object field. That's probably fine. I wonder if I can make it a component, actually. That's fine. Okay. So, is there anything else besides? Well, I mean, yeah, the lock itself is going to have a couple of things, I suppose. Start off with a data ID, which will be our lock ID. Data ID.none. And let me think. Is there anything else? A lock just needs to know what. Well, should probably have information about things like animations, I suppose. So, all right, let's look at our door. Yeah, we're probably going to do something like this. Wow, we're actually pulling a fair amount of information here. Oh, jeez. This is... let me think. I think I could actually break out the lock functionality to the lock class. So, for example, currently in door, we have a data ID for when that door is open, a data ID for when it's locked, then a value for if it's locked, if it needs a key, and then no key output. So the ones that we would basically move over would be these four. So we would move the locked ID, the locked needs key and no key output over to a lock subtab, and we would basically need to do a kind of strange magic whenever we do interactions with the door. So let's say, for the sake of curiosity right now, I'm actually kind of assuming that nothing's broken. I'm going to show you what you can currently do with the door, and the important thing is that we need to preserve that functionality. But if it's different behind, under the hood, it's fine. But everything that it can do now has to be preserved. So let's go ahead and clear this, and let's try playing. So that means that you need to be able to, one, unlock with key, and open. And it needs to know, in both cases, that unlock with key would mean the lock, and open would mean the door. So I don't have the key. It's right there. So take. All right. So we're going to say unlock with key. Unlocked. So that needs to work. And then when we say open, it needs to actually open. So that's the basic features that we need. In addition to that, we need to be able to hold up. There we go. So I'm going to take this. We need to be able to do this insert key to unlock it, and we also need to be able to say open with key. Okay, there we go. So take open with key. So it needs to be able to do all three of those different ways of interacting with the door. And the real trick is going to be this, open with key. Because open with key it's a hard check. It's like a hard-coded check within the door class that basically says if you type open with key, then you need to both unlock the door, then open it. But what we would need to do with the new system is we would need to instead, so if you type open with key against the door, you would need to say, okay, we're trying to open the door with the key, but the door has a lock, so, oh no, hold on. Well, I'll finish this thought and then I'll explain what I just thought of. So when you say open with key, it needs to say, okay, the door needs to be opened. It's currently locked, but there is a lock associated with this door, so we need to unlock the lock first, and then we need to open the door. So you have to do you would essentially be sending one input meant for one object, but it would kind of split it up between two different objects. I mean, that would work, but now we actually get into some more complex things where we need to have, unless I kept that in there. Nope, yeah. So we need, yeah, dang it. I might be overcomplicating this. We would still need this no key output in instances where you don't have doors with locks. We would need to be able to say that it doesn't look like there's a way to unlock the object name, or the object name is already unlocked, or rather the object name is not locked. Yeah, this gets all kinds of complicated. So I don't know if it would be better to break stuff out into the lock class, or if it would make sense to keep it in the door. I only have like 5 doors that I would have to fix, basically. It's not really that difficult. But does it make sense? I don't know if it makes sense for me to do that. Plus, it means that I'm basically doubling my work every time I make a locked door. Not crazy about that. No, I don't think I'm going to do that. So I think we're going to keep everything inside the door class while allowing the lock class to handle specific interactions itself. Hello, Gelmega. Welcome back. How are you doing tonight? Oh, dang it. I keep forgetting to turn my freaking Nightbot on. It's on, but it's been an hour and 40 minutes into the stream. I guess not that it matters. It hasn't been a super busy stream, I guess, but at least chat-wise. In any case, so that's going to make things a little bit more interesting. Because it essentially... Okay. Yes, I think I know what to do. So we're not going to limit the functionality of the door. Instead, we're just going to add functionality for a lock in cases where we need it. So let's go ahead and stop that. All right, let's go back to interactive lock here. All right. I'm trying to think about how to do this. This is also going to cause some problems, I think. I might need to go to my actor class real quick. Definition. All right. Get components and children. Actor So we're going to change this get statement real quick. Good. Figuring out a red-black tree. Wikipedia is very helpful. What, like a tree that actually is red and black? I don't actually know what kind of tree that would be. So we need to essentially, when we search for our modules, instead of grabbing all components in Children, we're still gonna do that. But then once we have all of that, we are going to iterate through our modules and say, okay, is your owner me? If not, go away. I don't care about you. You're a module for a sub-object. I don't want you. Oh, a binary tree. The base of sorted sets and maps. Oh, okay. That's what it's called, a red-black tree? Huh. I didn't know that. That tutorial took longer than I thought it would. What was the tutorial over? Just out of curiosity. In any case, so we're going to say return modules here. Paste you here, return modules, and then we're going to say if modules.count is equal to 0, then we're going to do stuff. Alright, so we're going to say modules are equal to all of this fun stuff, except, why are you, okay, that was weird, whatever. And then we need to loop through our modules. So we're going to say for, wow, that did not work. For I equals, it can't be 0. Instead I have to say modules.count. I is greater than or equal to 0. And then I minus. Okay, so we have to go in reverse here. Asp.net. The module is about source control. Oh. Okay. God, I haven't had to do ASP in since sophomore year of college. That would have been a while ago. I made myself feel old. I hate it when I do that. I wasn't a big fan of it when I had to do it. I guess it's less relevant now than it used to be. I mean, it's still being used a lot, but it's not as... The advent of new technologies for the web is going to probably eventually fade that out, but, I mean, it's still being used. So. Because it has red and black nodes, which are used to balance the tree, so it can keep its login speed. Huh. Well, all right then. Yeah, you're at a certain point. You're past my skill level when it comes to low level programming. So you are old, Synthoid. You are old. Well, you know what? Just because it's true doesn't mean you have to say it to my face. Maybe I should start screaming, "Get off my stream, you kids!" Alright, anyway. Back to the task at hand. So I need to... Oh, and also I need to say -1. -1 here. So we're going to say if modules... I'm not a huge fan of doing it this way. God, I'm really not a huge fan of doing it this way. Hold on. Modules fi dot frac. Hold on, let me double check this. I need to make sure. It's been a while since I've looked at this. Right. That's not good. Let me find all references here. Player health module. Modules don't activate. Is that done in... Oh, right. No, that's something I just did. Activate modules. It's just done in awake. Okay. Yes. So I don't need to worry about this, I don't think. No, I do. They won't be activated yet. Dang it. closer to 30 than I am to 20. What about you all? I am neither closer to 30 nor closer to 20 right now. I am smack dab in the middle, which is just great. Let me tell you. Especially since I'm going to have to get health insurance soon. Well, get my own. Going off the parents' health insurance in a couple of months. In any case, let's see. Activate modules. So, frack. Shite. I'm not a big fan of this. Can't really get away from it, though. So the problem is that when I activate a module, it will get its parent actor, but the modules won't necessarily be activated when I retrieve them. So unless I manually activate them myself, which I would prefer not to do because then they would just immediately get activated again in some certain circumstances, I'm not entirely sure what to do here. Maybe it doesn't matter. I guess it really doesn't because their owner is the only important thing. So this might be less of an issue than I thought. That was not what I meant to press. There we go. So 25. I am 25. That is correct. About 20, or I'm 20 in about 2 months. I'm being old. I know, this is the point. This is the point when I start dying. It's when I start losing more cells than I regenerate, and I start getting old and decrepit. So what do I think about Irma? I mean, it's not really going to affect me directly, because I am in the most landlocked state in the, well, I suppose not the most landlocked state, because that would probably be something like, not Ohio, not Illinois either. I don't know, Colorado, since it's mountains, literally no ocean. But I'm basically in the geographical or geological stable zone of the U.S. Like, nothing happens here. I'm too far inland to be affected by hurricanes, and I'm too far east to be affected by earthquakes. And I'm too far west to be affected by ocean weather. And I'm also too far south to be affected by the really bad blizzards. So I'm like, and I'm also too far north to be affected by tornadoes. So I'm like right in the middle where nothing happens. but yeah, it's not looking super great. Fortunately, it looks like we won't get hit by a third hurricane, because there was another hurricane that was forming right behind Irma, but I think it's going to get flung off. Oh no, it's not going to get flung off. It's going to hit Mexico, actually. I think. But I also don't think it's going to be a hurricane when it hits. I think it's just going to be a tropical storm. So it shouldn't be as bad. Though it still sucks. Yeah, though, it's this is the first time in my memory that the U.S. has actually been hit by 2 hurricanes in 1 year. That's really bad. Am I in Avalon? No, I'm in Indiana. Like, nothing happens. I'm also in central Indiana. Like, nothing. Too far north for even tornadoes. Like, occasionally you'll get a funnel cloud, but they very rarely touch down. Especially since the area I'm in is like the almost hilly part of Indiana, so it's too hilly for tornadoes to really form. So, like, just in the perfect geologically stable place. Nothing happens here. But yeah, it's for some reason the hurricanes are really bad this year. Um, in any case, man, I probably should just put this back the way it was. Boo. All right. So we're gonna say return modules count is greater than 0 question mark modules else modules will equal to that. Let's just go ahead and do that. Although I do actually have a friend in Florida that I need to check on. So he hopefully won't be too affected by Irma, but it looks like it's gonna cover all of Florida, so I don't think he's gonna be able to escape that. As a European, needed to look up where the state is. I know most countries in some states, but not all. Yeah, Indiana is like the Midwest of the like it's the middle of the Midwest. Um, we are 90% corn and beans and nothing else. Although it is really funny if you look at a road map of the U.S., like everything goes to Indiana and then spreads back out because it is a convenient central location. But aside from that interesting fact, it's terrible. It is a very, very boring place to live. And it is dirt cheap though. I will say that it's nice here. It's like half as expensive to live here as anywhere else. All right, so let's go back here to interactive lock. Go ahead and we're gonna say, what else do I need here? I have a locked object. We're gonna go ahead and say private interactive. No, that won't work. We'll call it iLockable. Locked. Wow. I don't know what else to call it. I'm already calling it locked object. But I don't have to cast it to a freaking iLockable every time I need to use it. I would prefer to just cast it once. So I can't call it locked object though. Okay, what should I call you? Locked. Well, locked something. Maybe just lock target. Not especially happy with that, but I'll just go ahead and say unlockable and then locked object here for our getter. So we'll say get return lock target is equal to null, or sorry, is not equal to null, question mark. Then we'll return lock target. Else lock target is equal to locked object. Oops, lowercase l. Locked object as I lockable. It's always kind of awkward working with interfaces inside Unity. It really does not like to use them. So I had to come up with my own freaking property drawer basically to force not interactable objects, but interfaces to be serialized in a weird way. So let's go ahead and change our lock from an interactive object to a interactive lock. If I live in a country which fits in the tip of Florida, doesn't even reach Tampa if you put it on there. Yeah, the U.S. is really big. It's actually, like, that's one of the most jarring things as an American looking at other countries. It's like, you never realize how big the U.S. is until you see side-by-side comparisons. Like, Texas is basically the size of Europe, if I remember correctly. It is gigantic. It is astounding how much space we have over here. Which is also one of the reasons why Americans are uncomfortable when people get within less than an arm's reach from us. We have personal space boundaries because we have so much space over here that we like to have about an arm's length of space between us and the next person. But I know that a lot of other countries don't have that problem. They can be usually like elbow length and it'll be fine. In any case, so this is a lock, but we don't have anything actually. Yeah, we have to come up with our own. Okay. I need to come up with a editor. Let's go ahead and add a folder. Editor. Create C# script. Interactive lock editor. Alaska is this? Yeah, Alaska is monstrous. I always forget about, like, Alaska is not represented well on maps, because typically what you'll get with maps of the U.S. is you have the continental U.S., which is the the main 48 continent-bound states, and then you'll have Alaska and Hawaii on like a little subset of that. But that really hides how big Alaska is. It is monstrous. And it's a lot of nature up there. There are not as many people, population-wise, up there, which makes sense. It's kind of up in the middle of nowhere. like I said, it's very easy to violate an American's sense of personal space. Let's see. We don't need the actor open anymore. Go up here. Text quest. Sleepyowl.common.editor. Then this will be interactive object inspector. All right, override on enable. Override on inspector GUI. We're just going to do stuff. Oh, actually, no, it's not going to do that. So we're going to say serialized object dot update. We'll end with serialized object dot apply modified properties. Let's see. Country fits 5 times in Florida. Oh, more than half its population. Well, like Florida is actually, I don't think it's a really populated state. I know that it has a higher age average. There are a lot of old people in Florida, but I actually don't know its population size. 20 million? Yeah, that actually, well, I guess I can't really talk. Indiana probably doesn't really have that much either. There's about, 320 million Americans right now, as of the last census, or maybe 310. And most of that is concentrated on the east and west coast, particularly in the major metropolitan areas like New York and LA. Actually, pretty much anywhere in California. California is just filled to the brim. But yeah, in the Midwest and along the sort of like southeast side, you get some population dips. There are not nearly as many people. In any case, we're going to go down here. We're going to say private void draw lock info. All right, and we'll just go ahead up here, and we're going to say first things first, I suppose. Custom editor utility dot draw. Actually, hold on. Draw script field, right? Yep. All right. And then we're going to say draw base, draw buttons, draw info, draw verbs, and for that, draw lock info. So with that, we'll say if custom editor utility dot draw header 1, and then we'll give it a string called lock info. Editor GUI layout. Oh, come on. GUI. What are you doing? Editor GUI layout dot. What? Am I not using? Oh, duh. Using Unity editor. Dot begin vertical. Editor styles. Oops. Editor styles. Dot text area. That was a force of habit. Editor GUI layout. Dot end vertical. And we'll just leave that empty for now. And let's go ahead and let that compile. Oh, and actually before I do anything else, I should probably come up here and say custom editor type of and interactive lock. Okay, so now our lock object should actually have the fields that it needs. Well, it won't have the fields that it needs, but it will have an extra property here. We can look at it there. The part of Belgium I live in, the Dutch-speaking part, Flanders, the population density is about 50 or 500 people per kilometer squared, or per squared kilometer. Florida's about 10 people per mile. Well, like I said, we like to space things out over here. That's interesting. Why? Oh, right, it hasn't compiled. There we go. I hate that about Unity. So if you make a severe change, well, when I say severe, I mean like if you make a new custom editor for an object and you have that object selected when you go back to Unity, it won't actually update the inspector properly. You need to deselect it and then reselect it so that Unity can reinitialize the inspector. That's why we didn't see lock info until I deselected and then reselected it. Gonna go, it's 3 a.m. All right, well thanks for stopping by, Gelmega. Good luck on your binary trees. Let's see, so I need to set up actually my information. So we're gonna go up here, let's see, where are you? Interactive lock. So we need locked object and lock ID. Go ahead and place that, so private, oops, hold on, serialized property. Get rid of these things and make you private. All right, then m underscore locked ID, m underscore locked ID. All right, now we say m underscore locked object is equal to serialized object dot find property. And that. Go ahead and copy that in. Oops. There we go. And let me get rid of this and make it the regular L's. All right. So next we're going to come down here and we're just going to say editor GUI layout property field m underscore locked object, then editor GUI layout dot property field m underscore lock ID. Okay, so now we should have our fields pop up. Oh man, gotta stretch. I need to do better actually at stretching my hands and my wrists. One of these days I'm gonna have carpal tunnel if I don't, and that would suck. All right, so we haven't made the door an iLockable yet, I don't think, correct? Yeah, we haven't. So let's go ahead and this is a little annoying. I gotta figure out how to do this. Should I allow sub-objects? No, it doesn't make sense. If I want to have a complex door, I should have a derived class for complexity. Because the point of complex interactions with door here was to allow for lock interactions, but we're about to have very specific logic set up for that, so I don't think we need to worry about that. I think we can actually get rid of this. So it's a little annoying, but we'll keep it in for now, I guess, just because I don't. You never know if I'm going to need it in the base class. I don't think I will. And once we have our lock actually set up, I think we'll get rid of the complex interaction stuff. But until then, we'll keep it in. All right, so let's go ahead and make this an iLockable. iLockable. All right, which means that I need to have interactive lock. All right. So we're going to start off by not putting you there, instead putting you here. Public interactive lock. Door lock. Let's go ahead and say tooltip lock for this door. All right, interaction list. I'm going to say +1 plus, and then now we get this, which is going to be door lock is equal to null, in which case we will return 0, else we'll return 1. All right, and hello, Scorpio. Welcome back. And just in time. All right. Thanks for stopping by, Ryan. Good luck sleeping. I'm sure you won't have any trouble, but never hurts to wish luck. All right. So All right. Let's go ahead and say if door lock does not equal null, then interaction list of 1 is equal to door lock. And we're going to have to do a check here as well. So we're going to say door lock is equal to null, question mark, then 0, else, I'm sorry, not 0, 1, else 2. Dang it, can you still not adjust things? It's still only auto and source for me. Ryan, if you're still on, can you change the source or the video quality on your stream? Actually, I assume you can't because I can't. Dang it. I don't know what setting that is because there's nothing in my settings that I can change for that. It like I can limit streaming to like I can prevent people who aren't subscribed to me from streaming at 1080p, but it seems like for some reason it won't work here. Dang it, that's super weird. Can I do advanced? Dang it, there's like nothing I can do. If you swap to, so Scorpio, if you swap over to the mini player, does that work? Yeah, that's not super great. So like if you scroll partially down until Twitch kind of minimizes it, is it all right? I mean, obviously that's not ideal considering the fact that it would make everything tiny, but if that makes it easier to stream, it's worth a shot, I guess. All right, so we have our interaction lists here, and we need to communicate with our lock. And actually, you know what? We need to grab all of this as well. Oh wait, actually, before I do anything else, before we get to interaction, no, here we are. So I'm gonna say public interactive lock. What did I call it? Lock. Of course I did. Lock. Get return. Door lock. Oh, I was gonna say, why are you giving me a red squiggle? That was why. And that should fix it. All right. Yeah, I know it won't work when it says source after the 1080p. Can you refresh the page? Does that like reset it? I wonder if it's something that I've done. Are my settings messed up? Because I mean, I've tried to check that, and there doesn't really seem to be anything I can do there. Oh, hold on. Did Twitch change its friggin' layout again? I can't find anything. Let's go to Video Manager. There it is. If it says 1080p, then I can change it. So let me look at my options here. So I can restrict access to video quality, but I haven't enabled that. So I don't, unless it's auto-enabled somehow. How do I want to do this? Okay, let me try this. Although I don't know if this will necessarily take effect right away. I've just changed it so that source quality is a sub only. So I just changed my settings so that only subscribers can access source only. So see if that forces you to select your, so like refresh the page or maybe close it and then reopen the page and see if you can select it now. Because I think you have to close my channel page and then open it. It says changes to this setting will not affect viewers who are already on your channel page. But since I've now locked source, you shouldn't have that option unless you're subscribed to me, I guess. Which means that it should boot you to something else. It should boot you to something that I would think would be either 1080p or 720p, because 1080p is source. So check if that works. And let me know if hopefully you were able to hear that bit. I'll check again in a couple of minutes if not, or if it doesn't seem like you heard it. In any case, so we need to interact with our lock. Do I have? Right. All right. I'm going to go ahead and add some functions here. We're going to say void lock apparently lock crap lock object void unlock object. Then we'll go to interactive lock, go up here, and we're going to say public void lock, then public void unlock, hold on. All right, I might make this virtual, because it's fine for it not to be virtual right now. I could see some situations where maybe I would overload this or override this, but I don't know if I'll actually use them. So, okay, what to do about this? Hold on. I'm going to refresh my page. Okay, well, it seems to be working for me. I don't know what's going on here. All right, so anyway, back to the task at hand. We basically need the lock and the object it's locking to interact with one another in such a way that when one is unlocked, the other is unlocked. So all right, give me a second. This is probably going to be annoying. Didn't drop anything, did I? I also can't. No, it's working for me. Huh. Sorry, everyone. I'm trying to figure out this streaming thing. Trying to figure out Twitch, apparently. For some reason, it just doesn't want to work. Alright, so... Let's see. Door. It's going to give me squiggles, isn't it? Good. Where are you? I should have an open and a close function here. I think I'm just going to put these above that. So I'm going to say public void lock object, public void unlock object. So you can't change it, but does it work now? Like the stream itself? Because I'm kind of wondering if somehow my Twitch settings are borked. Because it seems like you basically were prevented from watching it when I locked source only for subscribers. But this is super weird. This is really annoying. So I have... So there are there are options in my settings to restrict quality options for non-subscribers. I don't have any of those restricted, and when I tried to restrict source, hoping that it would basically force your stream to be booted down to like 720p, it doesn't seem like it did that. Instead, it just prevented you from watching. Twitch, great. I probably need to, I don't know, ask someone about that, because it is really annoying that you're getting that. Apparently, I'm only able to stream at source resolution. I can't stream, or my quality won't let you adjust. And I have no idea why that's the case. Because I definitely did not do that on purpose. Like, I am not trying to make it so that people can't downres. I also just don't know what else I can do. Like, full screen playback. Okay. Yeah, and of course their video playback shoe does not have an option for like other or miscellaneous, so you can't really do something there. I might just have to like reach out to Twitch support and be like, "What's going on with my channel? Why are you terrible?" So I'm a little worried though if I try to, prevent the video quality settings from showing source. It seems like that kicks you off for some reason. I don't know why, but that seems to be what Twitch has decided it's going to do. So not sure what to do about that. So I apologize, Scorpio. Try to bear with it for now, and after the stream tonight, I'll send an email to Twitch, or try to ask around at the very least to see if someone knows why this would be the case. All right, so we need to... Oh, is it an OBS thing? Oh. Wait, no way. I have to be a friggin' partner? So affiliates can't do that? Oh god, that means that I'm gonna have to start streaming at 720. Oh. Ew. Alright, I could probably try to stream at 720p again. The only reason that I switched to 1020p is I'm doing a lot of work with text. Both coding and aesthetically, and I feel like 720p, especially when programming, makes it look blurry. It makes it soft. And I found it kind of frustrating to look at, but I suppose it would be better if I stream at 720p until I can get the option for... But that's weird. Didn't I used to have that? Or did I always stream at source only. Because I thought that like a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago, well, I guess a couple of months ago might have been too long ago, but I thought before you had the option to change the quality settings, but maybe I'm just remembering it wrong. Um, well, that's annoying. That is annoying. Huh. Crud. Oh, you always had down to like 180 because that's what I did. I wonder, maybe they took it away. Maybe I'm not getting enough viewers regularly to have that. Um, that's a really weird thing to withhold from people because that basically means that until I'm good enough to have, or until I have a mass enough audience to show them that I have people watching that want to have that, I have to stream at lower resolutions. Otherwise, people will have trouble watching the stream. That seems like backwards thinking to me. I guess I understand why they would do it because that saves them processing time, but that's a terrible way of growing your community because it means that I have to, instead of allowing options for viewers, I have to limit myself as a streamer to make the experience a little bit better. That's kind of annoying. Um, huh. Well, yeah, I could finagle with my OBS settings. I'm probably not going to do it on the live on the air, but um, I could try to drop my bitrate down to 2,000. Um, let me check something real quick. Stream output. Yeah, I'm probably gonna mess with this after the stream today. But I do want to know why I don't have that option anymore. So out of curiosity, if you are mainly listening, um, if you scroll down the web page, or I guess you might be listening or watching on your mobile phone. If you go to the minimal player, like the mini player, does that help? Because to me, it wouldn't make sense for them to stream 1080p for a tiny thing like that. I would think that they would automatically downres it to help with that, but I could be wrong. In any case, I kind of got derailed. I lost my train of thought. Ah, dang it. Right. I think I remember now. So we're gonna go up to lock, unlock. Here we are. So if we actually do unlock this, then I'm going to, let's see, sentence and direct object. Check the object and all matches here. Locked is equal to false. Here we are. So I'm going to say if door lock does not equal null. Oops. Door lock dot unlock. And I suppose we'll do that here for now. I think I'm going to consolidate this stuff actually in my unlock door or unlock object class. There we go. Okay, not you apparently. Let's go right here. Okay, let's go back down here. That seems like that makes sense, just to move that stuff there. Okay, so let's go ahead and get rid of this. Move this down here, and we're going to say unlock object. Should help with that. That also will allow me to do things like unlock sound effects a little bit easier, I think. Hmm. On my mobile, I can set it to audio only. It still buffers. Hmm. So if you're on mobile, does audio only work, or is that what's buffering? Um, Also, I apologize for making you jump through all these hoops. It'll help when I try to figure out what this is. Um, because I definitely would prefer that I have streaming enabled for everyone, or not streaming, quality settings enabled, just because, like you said, it's inconvenient to have to stream 1080p all the time. Um, in any case, so let's see. I'm not really doing anything with locking doors right now, so it's probably fine if I ignore that for now. I really only care more about the unlock itself. All right, so let's go to interactive lock. I suppose that means I'm going to need to do this. Private bool locked is equal to false. So that complicates things, doesn't it? It does. It does quite a bit. Because essentially my interactive lock needs to be an iCombinable and well, not iLock. No, not iLockable, but it does need to be iCombinable. Which I don't remember what has that. Combine with item. There we go. So we're going to say void combine with item. I'm actually surprised that it doesn't. You'd think that they would have parity. You'd think that anything that the mobile version could do, the desktop version could do better, actually. That is really strange to me. I know that you can pop out the player, but I don't know. I don't know what that does, and I'm kind of scared to do it on the stream. I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter. I don't particularly need it. And it's... Okay, I gotta mute that. Can I do quality on that? I cannot. God, that's really annoying. Although I can pop out the player again, which is hilarious. So I can, like, nested pop out. Yeah, great. Yeah, I do not know what to do about this. It seems to be a setting on Twitch that I might not have access to. Although it's weird that it gives me the option to limit to it gives me the option to limit quality settings, but I can't prevent you from having only source. Maybe it has to be something weird with my setup. I have to have done something wrong. Either that or Twitch got something wrong, which seems less likely, but it's possible, I suppose. In any case, I'm going to do this. And hooray, that all seems to work. So, combine with item. Yeah, we might... Can't really test this without a model. Because I would prefer to test like a full animated model for this, for the 3D representation of it. It would be very difficult to do that um, without actually having animations and a model set up. So it's not great. It's also not great that I have to do this. Let me go to door. And where are you? Actually, hold on before we do that. Locked ID. Find all references. We set it. What? We don't actually do anything with it? That can't be right. Hold on. Let's go to our interactions, intro, castle, and actually, no, let's not do castle. Let's do sewer doors. Sewer door. This should be correct. Door. Sewer door unlocked. Sewer door open. Interesting. Ah, there it is. I said it there. Which means that the actual sewer door unlocked locked ID is worthless. That's rather infuriating. It seems that I have some cleanup to do. I have a lot of straggler code. Things that aren't really being used. This is really annoying. Alright. I think we're gonna call it a night. I have some art that I need to do to get this to function. And beyond that, I apparently have a lot of redundant code in my doors. Because I don't even think that my data ID is being used here. If I find all references, yeah. Alright. That's a little frustrating, but I can consolidate things, I suppose. Right. Alright. So, we didn't get as far as I would like. We did get, I mean, we got our initial object done, but no, right, you can go away. Don't need you anymore. We could, in theory, do you, but probably less helpful than I would like. Go ahead and drag you, get rid of you, and let's go ahead and apply this again. Yeah. Yeah, and my internet has just stopped. Be out next 8 approximate Saturdays for band competition, so I won't be able to watch those streams. I'd like if you did art streams on Sunday, like you mentioned. So on that. All right, then yes, I think we're gonna call that a night. My cat wants to climb down off my shoulders. So we got door interact. Well, we got the shed door set up, which was supposed to be the easy thing to start off with, but we didn't really get the lock stuff figured out. I was a little worried that it might end up spiraling, and it kind of did, but it's not as bad as I was expecting. There's just a lot of redundancies in my door code that I need to get rid of. I suppose that makes sense. The door code is one of the earliest things that I wrote, and it was not clean. So we'll take a look at that and see if we can clean that up. Well, I will, because it's going to be somewhat boring and a lot of hein. So I think that's a good place to stop for the night. So announcements, we will be back on Saturday for our regular custom content creation stuff. And keep an eye on the, I was going to say Twitter feed, but Twitch has its own thing, which is called the channel feed. Keep an eye on the channel feed, and I will see if I can get an art stream done tonight, or not tonight, Sunday, this weekend. That is something I would like to start doing, but it's been up in the air if I should do that or not. I mean, I don't see how it would hurt. But it will probably be a little bit more sporadic, admittedly, than our Saturday dev streams. So, in any case, that's a good place to stop for the night. So, as always, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.